Hey, what's going on, Dodgers Nation? D-Mac here. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DMac_LA. The Dodgers tried to sign Kenley Jansen before the lockout. More on that just a second. But quick reminder for all latest Dodgers news and rumors, be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and if you want to see us post even more Dodgers content, smash that like button. Really helps out the channel. And as always, I want your takes down below in the comment section. Today's Dodgers Nation question of the day. 1, do you want to see the Dodgers re-sign Kenley Jansen? And 2, how much would you offer him? Give me the contract that you would offer to Kenley Jansen. Give me the money. Give me the years. Let me know down below. And for all latest Dodgers news, head over to DodgersNation.com. So welcome back to the MLB Cold Stove, where ain't nothing going on. We still have the lockout ongoing. We don't see an end in sight, but there are some rumors to report. And that's because Dodgers insider Dave Vassegh, his show Dodger Talk, came back last night, and he had some interesting stuff to say. And the first one we're going to get into is about Kenley Jansen. He said that the Dodgers tried to re-sign Kenley Jansen before the MLB lockout, and that the Dodgers want to bring him back. And in just a second, we're going to discuss if the Dodgers should re-sign Kenley Jansen, what kind of contract they should offer him, how much money, how many years, and if Kenley would give the Dodgers a discount to re-up in LA. We'll talk about that in just a second, but first, give a listen to David Vassegh last night on his show Dodger Talk on AM 570.
He had 38 saves this season, Kenley Jansen. 38 saves, and his numbers were the best by far in 2 years. Now, remember last year, he did have COVID at the beginning of the season, and I know that was, people take that for granted now as well. It's like nobody seems to bring that up when they talk about the effects of COVID. 2019, he had a really good year, just coming off 2 separate heart procedures, and this year, 38 saves for Kenley Jansen with a whip of just over 1. And the Dodgers do want him back. They were trying to work towards a deal before the lockout, but unfortunately that did not happen. But I certainly would not rule out Kenley Jansen returning to the Dodger bullpen this season.
So some very interesting stuff from our friend Dave Vassegh. Shout out to DV and the whole team over there at AM 570, the official station of your Los Angeles Dodgers. Now, of course, the Dodgers rumor isn't official until we break out the Dodgers rumor meter. So for this rumor that has the Dodgers wanting to re-sign Kenley Jansen and the Dodgers trying to re-sign him before the MLB lockout began, I'm going to give this a 3 Dodger dogs. Yes, I definitely think there's some serious smoke to this one. I think the Dodgers like what they saw from Kenley Jansen last season. They like the second act, the reinvention of Kenley Jansen, and I think they're buying into it, and so am I. Now, we're going to do a big-time deep dive on Kenley Jansen when we have our reliever grades that are coming out pretty soon, but we'll drop some numbers here. His 2.22 ERA was his lowest ERA in 4 years, and I think the most impressive thing about the reinvention of Kenley Jansen is his new dynamic pitch mix. If you look at that cutter usage from last season, it was at 58%. From 2011 to 2019, he threw that cutter 83.8% of the time. That's what I always called his bread and cutter. He would go to it if he didn't have the feel for it. If he was flat, he was going to be in some trouble. Well, that's not the case anymore for Kenley Jansen. He can go to that sinker. Last season, he threw that sinker 26.6% of the time. Opponents hit 147 off him. Now, if he doesn't go with that sinker, I know Kenley Jansen is happily married, but he does have a slide piece now. His slider was very effective for him last season. He threw it at a 15.4% clip. Opponents hit just 93 off it. They slugged just 209, and that's another pitch that he was using to put away hitters. So that is the growth of Kenley Jansen. Now, there are some cons when it comes to Kenley. Last season, his 12.9 walk rate, that was the highest for a full season in his entire career. 12.9 walk percentage, that wasn't pretty, especially when you consider that at his peak in 2017, his walk percentage was at 2.7%. So to go from 2.7 to 12.9%, that's definitely not a good mark. But if you look at his strikeout rate, 30.9%, that was decent. I believe it was 29th in the league when it comes to relievers. So Kenley Jansen definitely showed last year that he can be a different pitcher. He's not going to be as reliant on that cutter at this stage of his career, and he recognized that. He worked worked on those pitches, the sinker and the slider, and I think he's ready for the next chapter in his career. He's 34 years old. I think he has another 2 really solid years in him. I think he'd be very effective. I think that what we saw during the stretch after he got booed at Dodger Stadium, that's really who Kenley Jansen is at this point as he continues to grow with those secondary pitches. After getting booed off the mound at Dodger Stadium on July 2nd, he posted a 1.17 ERA, a .72 WHIP, a 2.35 FIP, a 36.2% K percentage, a 114 opponent's batting average. That was first among relievers in the league, a 1 F4 that was 4th, and recorded 17 saves. So he was dominant to end the season, and he didn't give up a run in the postseason. Now, what kind of contract should the Dodgers offer Kenley Jansen? I'd offer him a 2-year deal with an option, anywhere from $11 to $13 million per season AAV. So if you offer him 2 years, $26 million, I think that's okay. I think he can be a dominant reliever at times for the course of the next 2 seasons. I just don't want to offer him that 3rd year. There's a lot of talk that he wants that 3rd year in the contract, and I do think teams like the Toronto Blue Jays or the Miami Marlins will potentially offer him that deal. But if you're Kenley Jansen, the lure of staying in Los Angeles and finish what you started here in LA might be a big draw for him. Now, before the lockout began, there was some talk that the Miami Marlins were close to signing a deal with Kenley Jansen. I understand if you're Kenley, the Miami Marlins, you're close to where you're from, Curacao. It's a much shorter flight, but also Kenley Jansen wants to win. If you remember back in 2017, he took less to sign with the Dodgers when he signed that 5-year, $80 million deal. There were a lot of reports out there that the Nationals had offered him more money, but he wanted to stay with the Dodgers. And why did he do that? Because he wanted to win. He said after signing that deal, I want to win. That's the first thing. Sometimes it's not about the money, man. So in this case, I think if you're Kenley Jansen and you come back to the Dodgers and continue to try to pursue that dream of being on the mound when the Dodgers win the World Series or having a big impact on a Dodgers World Series title, because I know that still eats at Kenley Jansen. The fact that he did blow Game 4 of the 2020 World Series, and they did turn to Blake Trinan the next night, then Julio Urias in Game 6. I think Kenley Jansen needs to get his due with the Dodgers, and I think that he's put himself in a position where he can be effective for the next 2 seasons, and I think the Dodgers would be wise to ink him to a new deal at the right price. And if you're Kenley, you further cement yourself as the Dodgers legend. Say what you want about Kenley Jansen, but 350 career saves, that's 13th all-time. That's the 3rd most career saves with one team in the history of Major League Baseball, right behind Trevor Hoffman and the GOAT closer Mariano Rivera. Now, the last thing I'll say is Kenley Jansen, if you're watching this, I've heard you say in the past that you rely on that adrenaline rush, that adrenaline to get you going, to get you at your best. Well, you've only played for the Dodgers, and the Dodgers are one of the winningest baseball teams in the game. Now, do you really think you're going to get that same adrenaline playing for the Miami Marlins in front of like 3 fans, probably just your family members at that point in that stadium? Are they going to compete for a World Series title? The answer is no. Now, do you want to be the big fish with the fish? Maybe that's something you want to do. Now, if he's going to sign with the Blue Jays or the Phillies, teams that might have a chance to compete, I understand, but I think that Kenley Jansen should re-sign with the Dodgers, and I think it makes sense for both sides on a good deal. But let me know down below in the comment section, should the Dodgers re-sign Kenley Jansen? And also, what kind of contract would you offer him? How much is too much? How many years would you give him? Let me know down below. My name is DMAC. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DMAC_LA. For all things Dodger baseball, be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and if you want to see us post even more Dodgers content, smash that like button. For all latest Dodgers Nation merch, head over to gearup.la. Download the new Dodgers Nation app for my Android and iPhone users. And until next time, think blue, bleed blue, and I'm out.